Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to the Universal Temple for the sun, planets, moon, and stars. I'll be your Lord of Hosts, Lord Messiah. And we're going back into the Montevideo Convention. This is part two. Trying to figure out how to get a screen share on here so I could pull up the video because Facebook tried to hate on me from downloading my video. You know what I'm saying? Bullshit, man. So I gotta go on YouTube and try to re-record it, you know what I'm saying, through here. Damn, man, I wish I would have had this shit. Damn, man, this is crazy, yo. All right, well, I guess y'all just gonna have to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Peace, 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 peace. Welcome back to the Universal Temple for the sun, planets, moon, and stars. I'll be your Lord of Hosts, Lord Messiah. And we're going back into the Montevideo Convention on the rights and duties of states. This is part two, y'all. So y'all seen part one where we was going in and we was breaking this down, and then I read the rest of the articles off just in case, if you feel you can break it down in your own mind. But I'm coming back on part two to go back into the articles from 6 to 16 and then break it down. You know what I'm saying? Give y'all some understanding on what these articles mean and how they apply. You understand what I'm saying? All right, so let's go back and let's get it. Article 6, right? It says Article 6, the recognition of a state merely signifies that the state which recognizes its acceptance is accepts the personality of the other, which with all rights and duties determined by international law. Recognition is unconditional and irrevocable, meaning your recognition, the recognition of your state is not based upon the recognition of other states. They don't have to acknowledge you to say, hey, you're official, we acknowledge you. No, just by the fact that you're under international law and you have the right to do so, then your recognition is unconditional and irrevocable. Meaning nobody can say, hey, you're not official or you can't do what you're doing. Yes, you can. Okay, let's go to Article 7. The recognition of a state may be express or tacit. Okay, now what does the word tacit mean? You know what I'm saying? Let me look up that real fast. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're going to go real fast. Hold on 1 second. Let me look at the word tacit. Because I think it simply means like, basically just not express. Okay, tacit says understood or implied without being stated. Oh. So you don't have to basically state, oh, hey, we're doing what we're doing. Like it could be express or it could be tacit. Meaning you don't got to put up posters and signs and, hey, we're the Universal Temple of the Sun, Planet, Moon, and Stars and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to do all that. So it could be tacit as well. It does not have to be expressed, or stated or whatever. So it says the latter result from any act which implies the intention of recognition of the new state. So in other words, meaning like, you don't necessarily have to go, you don't have to go put it all out there. But like I say, you can put the people that need to be on notice, but you got to notify every single person in the public, like, hey, this is who we are. And if you choose to, that's how flyers and all that good stuff. Common law, acknowledgement and acquiescence, you know what I'm saying? Within, you just pass them out in the community. Hey, these little flyers about who we are, people know who you are, you know what I'm saying? You can even put it on record that you made people aware of this. Put up posters, put up signs, if you choose to do that. You don't have to, but you can. Article 8. This is very important, y'all. No state has the right to intervene in the internal or external affairs of another. Another what? Another state. So, in other words, no other state can interfere or intervene with your internal or external affairs. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you're doing, no state can come and be like, hey, we investigating you guys. What are you doing? You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have the right. No state has the right to intervene in the internal or external affairs of another. So whenever people are getting the offices raided and all of that, that's because they have no international protection. They haven't declared themselves as a nation state, as a state. They haven't declared their state. If they declared their state, then they wouldn't be interfering with their internal and external affairs like that. You know what I'm saying? So Article 9, the jurisdiction of states within the limits of national territory applies to all the inhabitants. So the jurisdiction of states within the limits of national territory applies to all the inhabitants. So what is national territory? National territory is the territory of the nationals. And that applies to all the inhabitants. The inhabitants. Who are the inhabitants? Those who inhabit the land. Who is that? The indigenous people, so-called Native Americans, who are actually known as Moors, who are the so-called African Americans, Negro-colored blacks. You know what I'm saying? But they are misclassified also as Indians. Those misnomers. Negro, colored, black, African American, those are misnomers. We are actually known as Moors. Yo, God, is he saying that he a Moor? As far as the Moor Science Temple? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying historically we are known as Moors. What is a Moor? See, and this way it gets crazy too, because one definition of a Moor means a person of African descent and a person of dark complexion being of African descent. So that's what a Moor is. Then how come they don't make Moors of North and Central America? They don't acknowledge the inhabitants of Africa. So that's why when we say we African American, we don't get any acknowledgement as the indigenous people here, because they consider that to be a whole other nation of people. See what I'm saying? So that's why they sold us that lie that all black people came from Africa on slave boats. No, we were already here in this land before slavery started. So they just brought some of our cousins over here on slave boats. Yeah, that's true. But we was already here. We circumnavigated. We knew about boats before the fucking white man started slavery. We was all over this planet Earth. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to know and understand that. So understand that when we talk about national territory, that applies to us, the so-called Negroes, African Americans, blacks, so-called. Okay, so national. All right, now peep this, y'all. This is really deep too. And I said Article 9 was the bomb, right? Nationals and foreigners are under the same protection of the law, and the national authorities and the foreigners, the national authorities and the foreigners may not claim rights other or more extensive than those of the nationals. So meaning, even like with the USAR, right? Even though they have established a government and we're coming under people may come under the citizenship of that government or become a national of that government, under that government, they still don't have more extensive rights over the nationals. So they can't like rule over the people unjustly, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And that's also to say that nationals and foreigners, meaning the indigenous people here on this land, which is us, and the foreigners, which are the so-called Caucasians or Europeans, are under the same protection of the law. Because remember, they were given permission to come here and operate in commerce. You understand? So they're given protection under the law as far as, as far as their right to come over here, establish a political jurisdiction and a commercial jurisdiction. They're protected under the law to have the right to do that. But however, the national authorities and the foreigners may not claim rights more extensive, cannot claim rights other or more extensive than those of the nationals. So the nationals are the indigenous people, the people that's here, and the people that are nationals under the government. They can't claim more rights over the people, basically, over the nationals. And that's also to say, that's why the Moors be telling these government officials, yo, you're not a national. I'm a national. Like, yo, you a foreigner. This is my land. You know what I mean? Like, they be letting them know, like, yo, this is my land. I'm a foreigner. You ain't got no rights over me. You can't tell me nothing more extensive than the rights that we both share equally. You can't have no more rights over other than that, or more extensive than that. You know what I mean? So in other words, you can't rule over me. You can't give any. You don't have any more rights that are more extensive than what is already there. So Article 10. The primary interest of states is the conservation of peace. Right, like I was saying, the major one of the major things about international law is the conservation of peace. So that's what it's all about. It's about peace. You know what I'm saying? The nation of God's earth, one of our major, the basis of our culture is, other than supreme mathematics, is peace. Like our culture is peace. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to a parliament, you're gonna hear the word peace over 1,000 times before you leave the parliament. Like literally. You know what I'm saying? Peace, God, yo, peace, peace. Yo, I ain't see you in the man, yo, peace, God, yo, peace, queen, peace, earth. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna hear peace 1,000 times because that's our culture and that's how we do. That's how we come. We come in peace. And we've been conserving a culture of peace for over 50, 60 years now. Father Law taught us in 1963. What is it, 2022 now? How long is that? 63, 73, 83. All right, 73, 83, 93, 2003, 2020. I'm at 2013. 2023. So next year will be 60 years for the nation of all the earth.
December 10th, 1923 will be 60 years.
And somebody told me, I think it was King El Bay, somebody said anything older than 50 years is considered ancient history or history in general. I was like, word, that's deep. So we are past that mark as far as the nation of our earth. So we could define ourselves as an ancient people. But yeah. So, but let me focus more on what I was building on because, all right, so let me go. So the primary interest of states is the conservation of peace. And like I say, that's the international law, you know what I mean? Peace, you know what I'm saying? You got to keep the peace. Differences of any nature which arise between them should be settled by recognized specific methods. So the specific methods are, you know what I'm saying? Whether it be arbitration through the international courts, whether it be litigation through the state courts, you know what I'm saying? Whatever case may be, we handle these things through recognized specific methods. You know what I'm saying? To keep the peace. So when another nation or state is in breach of international law of peace or whatever case may be, then there's ways of handling that basically. Okay, Article 11. Oh, and and if you go into my constitution, my treaty and all that, I got ways of handling peace dispute resolutions, you know what I'm saying? We got many, many methods on that, you know what I'm saying? So the contracting states, Article 11, the contracting states. All right, we 11 minutes in. All right. The contracting states. Yeah, I'm proud of y'all. Y'all been listening this long. That means that TikTok has not killed your attention span. Because TikTok and all these other things were designed to give you little 10 to 15 second video clips of some dumb, silly shit and keep you and you keep watching it over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a short little clip. You're like, oh, that was funny. And you keep watching that dumb shit over and over again. And it basically shortens your attention span. So now if somebody's not telling you something that's funny and your attention on some dumb, stupid shit in 10 to 15 seconds, they start sounding like the Charlie Brown. You know what I'm saying? You think you dropping some high science on somebody, you think you dropping jewels of knowledge. They sitting there like You know what I'm saying? They ain't hearing none of that shit because their brain has been, you know what I'm saying, destroyed basically. So anyway, let's go. Article 11, conservation of states definitely establishes the rule of their conduct. The precise obligation not to recognize territorial acquisition or special advantages which have been obtained by force, whether this consists in employment of arms and threatening diplomatic representatives or in any other effective coercive measure. So, in other words, the United States corporation have a clause known as eminent domain, where they basically occupy your land and make it a police state. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And, you know, if they do anything or damage your property, they got to give you restitutions and all that. But still, you know what I'm saying? Like, they got some shit where they could just be like, well, we need this land. We got to take over. You know, like you know how, like, the police be like, they could take somebody's car. Hey, this is official police business. I need this vehicle. I'm in pursuit of a fugitive. Nigga, you better use your own motherfucking car. Nigga, fuck it got to do with me. You know what I'm saying? And, like, if you don't comply with him, that's resisting the law. And shit. Like, man, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Because as a citizen, they consider all your property to be property of the state. So whenever a state official needs to use your property, they can do so. You know what I mean? Like, ain't that some shit, yo? And that's also why, like, when houses go into foreclosure, when they put them up on the market for the what they call the biddings, what's that shit called? The auctions. You know what I'm saying? When they auction off the houses, they give state officials, people that work for the government, they get first dibs on those houses because they're considered trustees or fiduciaries of the state, so they get first dibs on those houses. Then if it's anything left over, the people, just the regular so-called citizens, then they may be able to buy something or get something at the auction. If a government person that works for the government didn't get it first. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got first dibs on it. So that's just proof to show you that all the property that's owned by the state, the government officials or people that work for the state or government, they get first dibs on it because they're considered fiduciaries of the state, and everything is state property. So this is why you got to declare your nation state, draw up your will, your trust, put all your property under your nation state and under your trust and your will and all that good stuff, and start to reclaim your property because everything is considered abandoned. We are considered to have abandoned our property. So we have to come back and claim it. So the brother Lieutenant Bay, he was showing and proving. He had the documents to show and prove. See, I got declarations for adverse possession, but not declaration for adverse possession by air. Now that he's under the government of the USAR, he can claim adverse possession by air, meaning he's an heir, a national of the land, indigenous of the land. So he has first rights to anything. He can adverse possess it by air. And I don't even think he has to pay taxes on that. Word is bond. He's tax exempt. I don't even think he had to pay taxes on it. So he showed and proved he's living in one house and he got another house right next door. And he showed the documents. His declarations filed with the Secretary of State or with the county recorder, you know, in his local domicile, and he got the seals of the recorder on the documents official. So the only person that right or abandon their property, the nationals can come back and claim back that land, and that what's on the property is really what they're claiming, but the house is just on the land. It's attached to it, so it's considered a state because it's attached to the land. Original indigenous people, the top times, spring of the very land that they inhabit, we are on earth. We are part of the earth. The earth, the energy of the earth is in us. We are the earth. You know what I'm saying? As far as the physical body, you know what I mean? And the black woman we know is definitely the earth, like twin in nature, like facts. So like, and we all come from the black woman. So we are a product of the earth. We are the real estate. This is why they try to put a birth certificate on our babies and claim our babies as state property. You understand what I'm saying? Because we are stateless people, nationless people, so they can do this to us. They can steal our babies and claim them as state property. Like, yo, y'all not, come on, man. Y'all think slavery is just whips and chains? No, man. Slavery is institutional. This racism and slavery and shit, this shit is institutional. So all of that calling white people devils and crackers, that shit ain't gonna end systemic racism. It's not gonna end this shit. We gotta get our shit together. It ain't about blaming the white man no more. The white man, even though he did what he did, he put all these fucking remedies out here. You know what I'm saying? And we just not taking advantage of the shit. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I'm educating. This is why I'm teaching. This is why I'm sharing this information, so we can come into the know. And then once we come into the know, we let the information grow on our mind, and then in due time, we will manifest this. You understand? But we first got to we got to put it on our mind. We got to plant the seeds and let the seeds grow. You know what I mean? So let me keep it going, because I could get all passionate and get into my rants. Let me try to keep this going and finish this up. All right, so the territory of a state is inviolable. Measures of force imposed by other state directly or indirectly for any motive whatsoever, even temporarily. So when Trump was saying, when the riots was going off, and Trump, and he really wasn't going to do it, but he just made a threat, because he got the other white people back there saying, "Come on, Trump, let these niggers know what time it is." You know what I'm saying? So he had to put a little threat out there, saying about calling in the National Guard, because you see he didn't do it, but he just threatened people to let them know, like, listen, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. And what he meant by that is not to say that he's gonna start shooting people that's looting. Not looting, then start saying, so you might not want to be out there looting. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. So, but anyway, but once again, why do they have the power to do that? Because we are a stateless people. Look, it says the territories of a state is inviolable and may not be the objective of a military occupation. But if you are a stateless people, then you can be the objective of a military occupation, such as the National Guard. And measures of force can be imposed by another state, directly or indirectly, for any motive whatsoever, even permanently. You know what I'm saying? Even permanently. They want to lock shit down. I mean, and this is what it brings me to. Remember that as they make a state, police state. Police patrolling, like I break it down, patrolling. They're patrolling or rolling around and patting you down, pat rolling. You know what I'm saying? They patrolling, they pat rolling, they rolling around and patting you down. You know what I'm saying? In the community, making you feel uncomfortable, like you under their authority and jurisdiction. They could just pull you over and ask you for identification. And once you hand them that state identification card, guess what? You just gave them permission to treat you like state property. And they are going to do that. That's why the first thing they ask you for, if they pull you over, they ask you for license and registration. Because the license is an ID, but it's also a license for you to be able to drive a car commercially. You know what I'm saying? As people say, yo, I'm trying to get back and forth to work, man. I'm on my way to work, man. You know what I'm saying? I was speeding because I'm late to work. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you just broke the penal code section, you can't do 55 and a 45, all of that. So you broke one of the municipalities of the state. So now you got to get a ticket for that. But now, when I be showing y'all these videos about the nationals, the Moors, how they be traveling, this dude, he did it specifically, and I'm going to end on this. I ain't going to get too deep on it. Because, they got their own driver's license, their own IDs, their own birth certificates, their own Department of Vital Statistics, their own national government state building. So they can authenticate all their documents and do everything through their government. Like, they got their shit established, man. So I'm trying to tell y'all. This brother, and he was just testing the shit. He drove through the red light on purpose. Cop pulled him over. He's like, yo, why you pull me over, officer? He's like, because you ran the red light back there. He's like, what red light? And he's like smirking, like he knew what he did. And then the cop was just like, man, just be next time. Give the state government ID back and let him go. And he's like, see? Crazy. And I guess they must have fucked him so man. They have in their constitution where you could be a licensed weed or marijuana distributor, carrier, user, whatever the case may be. Like, they got their own shit and their own government, and they get through their own licenses because marijuana is legal in whatever states. And even if it ain't legal in a certain state, they can make it legal under their government. You know what I'm saying? They got the power to do that. You see what I'm saying? So, Yeah, man. And they got training courses and all that. And even before you get your government issued driver's license, that you got a driver's course you got to take. Before you get your registration, all that, you got a civics course you got to take before you become nationalized under the government and all of that, which is rightfully so, because people should get educated and know what they're doing. But okay, this is not a promo for the USAR right now, but I was just letting y'all know a government that is established and they doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? So look at USAR TV on YouTube and watch those videos. They only 3-minute clips, and they give you short, powerful information in those clips. You know what I'm saying? But one last jewel I'll drop on that, and then I'll get back into Article 12, right? The Moral Science Temple of America cannot confer nationality because they are religious organization, which was meant to teach us about our nationality and, you know, how to form government and so forth. You know what I mean? They're supposed to teach us about that within the temple. Like I was going back before saying how the black church was where we used to come together and all that in the house niggas that was in the house, not comfortable up in there with the man. The real house is ones that go up in the house. They sleep, you know, prepares meals. The fucking boys up in there because we have to kill that. Yeah, he would want to do that, you know what I mean? And all that good shit, you know. Back to the meeting in the church, and not anymore was playing and stuff like that, but playing more they're supposed to teach us how to run our own government and do our own thing. Because we are also the same thing. So now, you know. Not part and partial, partial, but it's part and parcel. And parcel is pertaining to, you know how you got parcel numbers for houses? We should have a parcel number for our estate because we are the real estate, the indigenous people, the autochtons, those who sprung from the very land they inhabit. You know what I mean? So let me get back in Article 12. So the present convention shall not affect obligations previously entered into by the high contracting parties by virtue of international agreements. So meaning the United States is part of this convention, right? United States of America is part of this convention. So even though they have their United States of the Constitution for the United States of America, it says the present convention shall not affect obligations previously entered into by the high contracting parties, meaning the parties that signed on to this convention. By virtue of international agreements. So meaning they already got their own international agreements. So their agreement to develop nation states has no conflict with their other agreements. Because really in the Constitution, it says the same thing too. And it also states how not on some coup take if the present government is not, paraphrase it, if the present government is not rated correctly and if they're supposed to, the people have to go to their own government and do the right thing. So we as people of this government, the United States being so-called citizens, we have the right to declare our own government, our own state, our own nation state or nation states. You know what I'm saying? Because also, like I said, and I guess it's going to be part 3. In part 3, I'm going to show you my actual declaration that I made pursuant to this Montevideo Convention. And, because, I ain't just talking about it. I ain't talking it. I'm also walking. I'm actually doing this. Yeah. Fuck, man. I could have did this video a long time ago. It took me a while to do this video because I wanted to actually do this shit before I started talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Now I'm doing it and I'm talking about it. That's the knowledge. So knowledge on 13. Contracting party for the respective constitutional provisions, right? Like I said, in the Constitution itself, they have the right to own and so forth. So is in the United States because they basically have the same principles or provisions. You know what I'm saying? In both those contracts. And that's what these are. These international agreements are contracts known as treaties. And the root word of treaty is treat. So once they treat each other based upon the articles or the provisions within these treaties. Okay, so provision or Article 13. The present convention shall be ratified, all right, by the high contracting parties. The minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uruguay shall transmit authentic certified copies to the governments for the aforementioned purpose of ratification. So in other words, once they develop this convention, the Minister for Foreign Affairs for the Republic of Uruguay, he was the one that sent the authentic copies to the government for the aforementioned ratification. So in other words, they sent the message to them. He sent it out, letting them know, hey, listen, this is going on. We got a convention going on. If y'all want to sign on, you know what I'm saying? I can. You know what I mean? It's open for ratification, which means open for signatures, open for anyone, for whoever wants to sign on to whoever, but those that are in the capacity to do so. And like I said, you got to be in the capacity to do so. So once again, dealing with the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, as for the Moors, this is a jewel for the Moors. Whenever y'all talk about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, you have to have acceded to that treaty to really make that treaty apply to you. You understand? There's what's called the instrument. In the last video, I spoke about the instrument of full powers, and there's also what's called the instrument of accession. The instrument of accession is the instrument you use to accede to a treaty, or this right here, the instrument of ratification. The instrument of ratification is the instrument that you basically use to sign on to or ratify or sign on to a treaty. So you got these different instruments: instrument of full powers, which states your powers or your foreign jurisdiction, your own sovereign status before you even enter into this contract. Is similar to like I've been teaching people about a foreign LLC. You got LLCs, and then you got a foreign LLC. Your LLC can be taxed by the government because you registered it with the state and with the Department of Licensing, and they gave you a license to do what you could have did naturally on your own. And if you look into what's called Rule 902, evidence that is self-authenticating, you have the right to certify, seal, put your own signature or autograph and thumbprint on your own document to make it official and certified, and send it off to whoever you want to. And you don't even need a notary or an authentication through a Department of State. You can do it on your own. See what I'm saying? Am I giving y'all $1 million worth of game in all of this right here? Yes, I am. Yes. So, this is what it is. So why don't you got $1 million? I will very soon. Best believe that. I'm working on a whole lot of things. And it's not even about the paper money. It's more so about the credit. And also, too, people that develop nations, and once you become a nation, there's all kind of International Monetary Fund, IMF, where they have funds just sitting there for nations. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you could get these funds and build stuff. You know what I mean? You also have what's called irrevocable letters of credit, where you can get construction bonds for contracts. Look that up, irrevocable letter of credit. Once again, irrevocable letter of credit. Also look up construction bonds for construction contracts. You know what I'm saying? Basically, you could get a contract for construction for a bond to do construction, basically. And how it basically works is that you would you would draw up the irrevocable letter of credit. You would present it to the postmaster of the postal service. And did you know the postal service does a whole lot more than just deliver mail? Yeah, they are actually a public fiduciary to handle a whole lot of things. And this is another jewel I'm dropping on y'all. So the irrevocable letter of credit will be drawn up through your establishment, and I have templates for that if y'all want them to hit me up. You will give it to you will bring it to the postmaster of the postal service. They will be a middleman in between your organization, which drew up the letter of irrevocable credit. Bring it to the and if they approve it, now stamp on the letter of credit. Basically, they approve it, now you will be able to open up an escrow account where you get funds to, first it goes through the performance bond and payment bonds. The performance bond is where they issue you the funds for the performance. And if you have a cousin or a brother or uncle or somebody who has a construction company and they're able to do the job, you can hire them instead of hiring some random people, you know what I'm saying? Employ your own people and all of that, you know what I'm saying? Put your fam on. So yeah, then if they're able to do the job, once they get the job done, the performance bond is to give them all the funds they need for all the materials. And you have an escrow account where everything is accounted for. You can't try to sneak any money and shift it and swindle it into something else. No, everything is accounted for. So after the performance is done, then the payment bond kicks in. When the people who did the job, they get paid for their services, rightfully. You know what I'm saying? They get paid for it. So then the payment bond, and the only thing you would have to pay, as for your organization, you would have to pay the taxes. The taxes is only $12.50, rounded off, say $12 for every $100. So if you get a bond for $100, you only pay $12.50 on the as a taxes for the bond. If you get a bond for $1,000, you only pay $120 for the bond. If you get a bond for $100,000, you pay $1,200 for the taxes on the bond. That is $12, $1,200 for a $100,000 bond. Come on, y'all. We can build, man. We can get shit done. I just dropped $100,000 worth of game on y'all, minus the $1,200 for the taxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Let's get it, man. Let's get it. Okay, let me get back to these articles, man, because I could talk forever, but that's a different topic, all right? But this is all pertaining to helping you build up your nation state as well. So, Article 13, all right. All right, yeah, we finished Article 13, all right. Okay, Article 13. All right. The instrument of ratification shall be deposited. Pardon me, y'all. I gotta use the bathroom. Let me let this play off real fast so while I'm going, I'm not just silent.
Article 13. The present convention shall be ratified by the high contracting parties in conformity with their respective constitutional procedures. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uruguay shall transmit authentic certified copies to the governments for the aforementioned purpose of ratification. The instrument of ratification shall be deposited in the archives of the Pan-American Union in Washington, which shall notify the signatory governments of said deposit. Such notification shall be considered as an exchange of ratifications. Article 14. The present convention will enter into force between the high contracting parties in the order in which they deposit their respective ratifications.
Right.
Article 15.
Right. So the instrument of ratification shall be deposited in the archives of the Pan-American Union. That's the in Washington. I believe a brother, you know what I'm saying, who was telling me about his celestial constitution. I think this is the place where he sent his documentation. But I don't know. I don't know if he got a response for it or what the case may be. But however, he must not know that even though once you deposited it, even though you didn't, if people didn't sign on to it, after about a year or so, you should have gotten some kind of correspondence from them to let them know that, okay, after a year, it's been, you know, recognized or acknowledged or whatever, or, you know, basically you get everything you're doing coming to effect. But like I said, I try to add people to this information. The document in Washington. Exactly. See, people be themselves. Anyway, notify such notification shall be considered exchange ratification. So, you deposited with the Pan-American Union in Washington, they're gonna notify the signatory governments of said deposit, let them know that, yo, this person deposited a treaty or a declaration, whatever case may be. If y'all want to sign on to it, it's open for a session, you know, it's open for ratification. And then such notification shall be considered as an exchange of ratification. So that's like you know, yeah, like once you send it there, if they sign on to it, then you got proof that somebody acknowledged it, they signed on to it, and now you have a universal alliance or a treaty, basically. That's evidence of a treaty. You know what I mean? An international agreement. Somebody signed on to it. So Article 14, the present convention will enter into force. The present convention will enter into force between the high contracting parties in order which they deposit the respective ratification. So in other words, first come, first serve. So after we finish these articles, they're going to show the 16 ratifications to this convention. And I guess they're going to be in order. You know what I'm saying? They're going to have them in order of the respective ratifications. So in other words, whoever signed on first, their name is going to be first. Whoever signed on second, their name will be second, and so forth and so forth. So Article 15, knowledge power. The present convention shall remain in force indefinitely, but may be denounced by means of 1 year notice given to the Pan-American Union. So in other words, if you yourself want to denounce whatever you deposited them, you can show them want to denounce their 1 year notice, and they could denounce it as well. So it says, which shall transmit it to the other signatory, which shall transmit it to the other signatory governments, letting them know, like, yo, this person, they no longer want to be a part of this, and they denounced it. They took their signature off or something, whatever case may be. So after the expiration of this period, the convention shall cease in its effect as regards to the party which denounces, but shall remain in effect for the remaining high contracting parties. Right. So in other words, just because one person decided to opt out, don't mean that the rest of them have to, or the rest of them will. You know what I'm saying? So for example, right now, if they got 16 contracting parties to this convention, let's say if one of them said, hey, we don't want to be part of the convention no more, the other 15 are still in effect. You know what I'm saying? So, that's why there's there's strength in numbers. So, all right, so Article 16, knowledge equality. The present convention shall be open for adherence and accession, meaning they can accede to it, or sign on to it, same thing as ratification, kind of, you know what I mean, of the states which are not signatories. All right, let me read that again. The present convention shall be open for adherence and accession of the states which are not signatories, meaning the ones who didn't sign on to it, it's open for signature. If they want to sign on to it, it's open for signature. You know what I mean? So it's not restricted to just the ones that are signed on to it presently. It's still open. So in other words, once you develop your nation state, you can sign on to this convention as well and send in your treaty for other people to get down with your stuff if you want to. Or you could just say, hey, I want to just be part of this convention itself. You know what I mean? And just operate your nation state based upon these provisions. You can say, because basically what's going to be in the memorandum of reference, or the articles of incorporation, as you will call it, where you basically say what other documents you bear witness to.
Memorandum of law.
So, say I want that to be applied, then I'll put that instrument of accession attached to this document. If I want to see to the USAR Constitution, I'll put that instrument of accession and apply it to this document. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if they do it exactly like that, or if you have to come under their government to be part of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I got to check and see exactly how they do to, go about that. You know what I mean? So the corresponding instruments shall be deposited with the Pan-American Union, which shall communicate them on notice. Okay, so that was in Article 16, in which, in witness thereof, the following plenipotentiaries have signed this convention in Spanish, English, Portuguese, and French, because you got different nations signing on that speak different languages, and they want to make it uniform so people understand. And hereunto affix their respective seal in the city of Montevideo, Republic of Uruguay, this 26th day of December, 1933. So in other words, they all came together and did what's called an attestation. This is on your document. When you and 2 or 3 people all sign a document, and you even and you all agree to sign that attestation is better than no. Because me being minister, and then also being a person delegated in the eyes of international law, or me being a minister for foreign affairs for my universal temple, I would be qualified to sign on behalf of my whole nation, or on behalf of the whole temple. And really, I won't even have to sign. I can, according to Rule 902, evidence that is self-authenticating, I can just put my nation's seal on the document and it's good. You see what I'm saying? The same way when you go to the Department of State and all they do is put their state seal on the document, put a little thing on there that says this document has full faith and credit of the United States of America, and and it's good in all 50 states. We could do the same thing from our nation state. This document has full faith and credit of the universal temple for the sun, planet, moon, and stars, and shall and ought to be given, full faith and credit in all foreign states thereof. Within the jurisdiction and all other jurisdictions, foreign jurisdictions thereof. You know what I mean? Shit like that. So, all right. So now, 16, you got Colombia, Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, United States of America, and Venezuela. So all those 16 states or nation states have ratified this convention, and they're all in agreement. They're all under international agreements, which becomes a treaty. This convention basically is a treaty, or thereafter enforces a treaty or international agreement between all of these 16 ratifying parties, or high contracting parties, as they say. The reason why they call high contracting parties, because they're the first ones high on the list. These are the first ones. Anyone below them would be considered lower contracting parties. They're the high contracting parties. You know what I'm saying? The first ones to sign. First come, first serve. All right? So that concludes this one right here. I ain't going to make it too much longer because, like I said, in part 3, y'all come in and tune in, and I'm going to show y'all my actual declaration of what I did and how I actually manifest these articles or put this into motion in my declaration. So part 3, tune in. We're going to go into my declaration for statehood, for nationhood, statehood, race, and nationality and race. All right, tune in, y'all. Part 3. Peace, and thank y'all for tuning in to the Universal Temple for the Sun, Planet, Moon, and Stars. If you so kindly can, subscribe to the channel, share this video, share it with your friends. People need to know this. Whenever we talking about, what black people going to do, how we going to get free, what can we do, blah, 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 blah. It's right here, y'all. It's right here. I gave y'all a solid solution, very solid solution. And so you don't have to argue with me and ask 1,000 questions. That's why I took that time to give y'all all that intricate information and all this, talking I've been doing to give y'all the inside information. So you ain't even got to ask all these questions or all the questions you would ask. Well, how about this? And how are we going to be able to do that? And how are they going to do this? And the white man ain't going to let you do that. And all of that shit. We could pass all of that because you're doing the knowledge right now. You just did the knowledge. So like I say, share this, share. The more the information gets out there, the more it's on the mind of our people, and the more we can implement this. Oh yeah, let me drop this to before I end, right? Because this is the national. So we see how the Confederation of Nations came together. We see how the United Nations the United States of America came together. So we learn about this in history. Why don't we do the knowledge and learn from history? They say he who is ignorant to history is doomed to repeat it. So we don't realize that, in history, we've been stateless people. We're going to keep on being stateless people. So let's get it together, become a state, become a nation state, become a nation, a people of a nation, actual state, get our things. So like I said, I told y'all family, and I declared them as the permanent population, right? And the defined territory is North, South, Central America. Our government is our universal charter. What is a universal charter? It basically declares all of the aspects of your government, or how you regulate yourself, all your laws, bylaws, constitution, articles of international organization or organization, whatever case may be, your will, your trust, your estate plan, all that good stuff. They're showing how you function, your rules of operation, basically. You know what I mean? When you open up a business, they tell you to have articles of incorporation and a business plan and stuff like that before you can open up a bank account and stuff like that. Yeah, So these are things that you need to have in place. So I said, right, so now this can be a blueprint for all the families, all the melanated, indigenous, autochthon, de jure population people all across America, not the United States of America, all across America, North, South, and Central, to start declaring their families as nation states. And once all the families come together and declare their family as a nation state, I'm giving y'all the blueprint. The blueprint is right here in the Montevideo Convention. And in part 3, in the next video y'all watch, I'm going to show y'all how I basically manifest, put all of this into detail and much, much more. You know what I mean? Much, much more. But we're going to go into that. And like I said, this can be a blueprint for other people to use it to declare their family as a nation state. Then guess what we can do, y'all? We can have a declaration, bring it into being, and we could all accede ratification. We could do the same process and accede to each other's treaties. Agreements between all the nation states being formed by the indigenous melanated people across North, South, and Central America. Then we will create our own United Nations, our own United States, our own confederation of states. You understand what I'm saying? And then we can then out-contract the contracts that we're presently in. Because the reason why we're already considered a stateless people, nationless people, and then they get us to fill out a job application. They get us to get a state ID, driver's license, birth certificate, social security number. All of these things contract us into their enslavement and into their control. So once we create our own thing, like I was saying about the USAR, the United States of America Republic, they have established their own republic, their own national government. Their own birth certificate, their own national state building, government, national government state building. All of the so-called government is doing the same thing in their own capacity. And once we go and get bigger and bigger, so they are evidence that it's actually being done. You know what I'm saying? I'm drawing up my nation state because after I, well, anyway, I ain't gonna, put all my business out there. But then, guys, and then, like I said, accede to each other's nation states and form our own treaties. And these will be contracts that are respected and protected under international law. No federal or state entity has the right to interfere or intervene in our internal or external affairs. So we have the right to can't do nothing. Stop thinking like that. We think, and listen, I ain't gonna keep going to that. I can be y'all forever on that. But I know, man, you know what it is. I know what it needs to be. So this is ability. This is factual evidence of how we can actually make that happen. No more complaining, no more whining. Straight nation building from now on, y'all. Peace. Share the video, share the video, share the video. Thank y'all. Love y'all.
Peace.